this week in Bring in France 24's international affairs commentator, Douglas Herbert. Doug, it was a really, really testy exchange between the two of them. Keir Starmer actually started out with a joke. He said there's a new book coming out on the Prime Minister's time in office, and it's going to be called Out by Christmas. And then he asked her if this was the release date or the title. So, I mean, she's clearly trying to defend herself, even though her credibility keeps going.
This has been her third prime minister question since becoming prime minister on September 6th, but by far the most important appearance. Why? Comes in the wake of the firing of her chancellor, her new chancellor ripping up her entire economic program, or virtually all of it, into shreds, so-called Trussonomics, and also reneging or backtracking on a big part of what has been this energy price guarantee, helping struggling households across Britain to really shore up their budgets in the face of soaring energy prices. There had been a 2-year guarantee that's now being rowed back to early next year. But look, beyond that, it wasn't enough for Liz Truss today, in many of the observers' views in Britain, to just have a good performance or a very good performance at these prime minister questions. She really had to be absolutely exemplary. She had to shine and have a brilliant performance. And even then, she would be probably limping along, because for many Britons right now, she is prime minister in name only. It's her new it's her new chancellor, Jeremy Hunt, who effectively right now is calling the shots, who is the one that people are turning to for anything having to do with the economic direction that the government is now going to be taking. Liz Truss really being seen by a lot of Britons as a placeholder, and the recent surveys are bearing this out. A YouGov survey just a few days ago showed that 10%, only 10% of Britons have a favorable view of Liz Truss. 80% are actively hostile in their view. And among her own party, you only have just over 70% of Tories have an unfavorable view of their own party leader, over 70%. So this shows that this is not even a party, a partisan issue at this point. This is an issue that goes across the party spectrum, ideological spectrum. They see this prime minister as uniquely unqualified and not credible in being able to carry out the job at this point. I'll just mention the only person really in Britain right now who gets lower popularity ratings is Prince Andrew for the sexual scandal that he was tied up in. He's, I think, around 4 or 5% in some of the polls. But Liz Truss is really, we've been saying borrowed time. The Tory leadership, if it weren't for the fact that the Labour is over 30% ahead now in the polls.
They have a spring in their step. Like you hear the leader of the opposition, and he knows that he's waiting to.
Here's the tension in British politics right now. First of all, remember, as it was pointed out by Keir Starmer, Liz Truss was not elected in a general election. This bears repeating again and again and again. Liz Truss was elected by a handful of card-carrying Tory party members, 0.2% of the British electorate. Yeah. I say this ad nauseum because it is absolutely stunning. Because of this quirk in the British political system, you have a prime minister right now making economic policy for a country, the vast overwhelming majority of which is opposed to her policies, and not just the country, but the people in her own parliament and in her own party.
Well, she's no longer making the economic policies. It's Jeremy Hunt now, clearly, who's really U-turned on everything she had announced. Thank you very much for that, Douglas Herbert there.